Frank Holbrook, uh, Rhode Island College head coach, 2012 Newport Gull, actually a Middletown native. Thanks for taking some time. I see you're out at Rhode Island College right now. What's that in the background there? Thanks for coming on, first of all.
Yeah, so just out at the park right now, sitting at a picnic table behind our dugout, and behind us we have our new hitting facility, baseball only facility, which is huge for our guys. I think at our level, you see it at the Division I level, but to have the facility we have at our level is awesome for the guys, and it makes it easier for me to recruit and develop these guys. So excited to be on. Excited that you're asked me to be on here, and ready to get going here.
Yeah, no, happy to have you. Thanks for making some time for us. I know fall ball is just underway. That facility looks great. Congratulations to you and Rhode Island College for implementing that on campus. State of the art in every facet. But as I mentioned in your introduction, you're a native of Middletown, Rhode Island, which means you grew up just minutes from Cardines Field while the Gulls were just beginning their time as members of the NECBL in Newport. You graduated from Portsmouth Abbey in 2008. How did the Gulls help influence your childhood and eventually your career in baseball?
Yeah, I mean, to say it changed my life as a baseball player, or gave me goals to set and see the borderline professional baseball players locally. When the Gulls started getting going, I was a young kid. I want to say anywhere from 9 to 10 years old. I remember me and Danny Gamache getting in Chuck's car, going down to Connecticut to be bat boys. We were bat boys at home games. That transitioned into, a host family. I think we had Jeff Lacker when I was really young from Mississippi State. I looked at him like he was a 10-year big leaguer. I'd follow him around the house. He'd take me out for car rides. We'd go throw. We'd play PlayStation in the morning together. And then I'd go to my Little League games and he would go on. So to be around those guys. And then as I grew, going to Gulls camps, watching the games, those guys were idols to me, and to see what Chuck and the management has done over the years has been awesome, and we continued on as host families with Kevin Moran, Mike Siender, now Mike Stud that all the kids love, Danny Gamache, and then eventually, like you said, playing at Wheaton. It was always a goal of mine to pitch for the Newport Gulls, and it's not an easy team to get on. I don't care how local you are and how long you've been around. So I was able to earn a spot after my junior year when we were at the College World Series. I remember Chuck, or maybe it was Chris, who actually called me when we had landed in Appleton at the World Series, and they said they had a full-time spot for me. And kind of that summer was one to remember. And here we are now, 8 years later. Couldn't be more thankful for how they developed the program locally and the impact it had on me as a kid, as a baseball player, and now as a professional. So can't say enough good things about the organization.
And I mean, we can't forget that a career you put together at Wheaton. Basically help bring that team to a College World Series. Now at the top of all those major statistical categories. I mean, first in ERA, second in wins, innings pitched. I was checking out some of your career numbers there, and looks like you were going deep into ball games quite frequently. Have you seen, and I think that's a trend we're seeing at all levels of baseball, how was your approach, and was it a different mindset that you think is changing now a little bit as we move into a different game for guys going longer in innings, and we're seeing some more arm injuries and such?
Sure. For me, my story is a little different than some other guys in terms of the health of my arm. My freshman fall at Wheaton, I tore my labrum in the front and in the back. It was a long recovery. I actually redshirted my freshman year. I went from throwing probably mid-80s, when I came in to Wheaton, a little bit more of a traditional downhill, and at the Division III level, more of a power style pitcher, being 84, 86, up to 87. But after surgery, the velocity dropped significantly. I had to kind of reinvent myself. I got my arm slot away from my head, and it was just kind of who I was as a pitcher in terms of my style, and the style we played at Wheaton with the great defense behind us. So I became a kind of a ground ball pitcher. I think I invited contact. I didn't walk anyone. If you were going to get a run off me, you were going to get hits, and you were probably going to have to string 2 or 3 together to get a run. So I think learning how to pitch at a lower velocity my freshman year post surgery really paid off for me my sophomore, junior, and senior year once the velocity started to come back. Transitioning it to now and maybe seeing less of that. Everyone's throwing harder at every level. I think you see in the big leagues, they're rolling out openers now. They're rolling out if you can have 8 guys in the bullpen all throwing 98, 100 miles an hour, you throw them an inning each, and that's pretty tough to hit. So, and then on the amateur side of things, kids need to throw harder to be seen and move up the ranks now. So a lot of kids and a lot of the development has gone towards, biomechanics and how to get the most out of your body and how it works, and how to continue to climb that velocity ladder. But I think sometimes as people climb, they may lose a little bit of what I learned and thought was important as to going deep into games and learning how to pitch and truly pitch. And I think once guys can couple the velocity with learning how to pitch and learning how to go deep into games and the art of pitching, I think those are the best guys. And obviously there are prerequisites to pitch at the professional level. And if you don't throw a certain number, you're probably not gonna be given a chance to show that you can pitch. So it's kind of the nature of the beast. It's the game's evolving. I think strikeouts are becoming more of a priority in terms of the way the game has gone, and I think it's just kind of a nature of the game and where it's headed. So
yeah. Well, I think that a lot of our listeners at home, a lot of our followers on the social medias here are aspiring young ball players, guys who are maybe just entering that college range. So it's important for them to understand that art of pitching is sometimes forgotten when you're seeing the radar gun or have that number that seems like you need to get to in order to take that next step or to get on the field in the eyes of your coaches. But you're a member of arguably the best team in Newport Gulls history. Can you take us down memory lane for a moment and offer your thoughts as to why you thought that team was so special?
I think that team was really cool to see. We had a bunch of really young guys from high-end schools, Vanderbilt, Stanford's, you name it, UCLA, young guys, 18-year-old kids just out of high school. And then here I am, 22, 23, post-labrum surgery, been around the block, but maybe not as elite of an athlete as some of these guys were gifted as. So, but I think that team and what made that team special was we had a cool core of guys that had been in Newport already and had some pride in trying to win a championship, but also having a chip on their shoulder of having to prove something. I mean, we had Pete Kielich, who was an older guy, 88 to 91, but more of a touch and feel guy that could really win. We had Danny Wright, who had been there. We had Connor Canary, I believe his name is, who was a returner, Jeff Malillo. So we had a Robbie Ort. So there was a core group of guys, the older guys that really I thought meshed well with the young talent who, you talk about Johnny Norwood and those guys and Adam Ravenel, and a really cool blend of guys that were in different parts of their careers. And I think the team really came together. We had a lot of fun in terms of, our personalities and how they meshed. But then on the field, we were no joke. We had a ton of talent. We were deep. We had guys. And I think the coaching staff had a really good mindset. Obviously, Coombs had been around the block and won a ton of games in that leagues and know what it takes. But they had a good way of keeping it serious, keeping us on task, but also keeping it loose where we were having a lot of fun. And once things got rolling for us, we were pretty tough to beat. So it was a really cool summer. And in terms of guys and talking to guys throughout the summer, stuff that sticks with me is, seeing those older guys play with a purpose and not take anything for granted. I think especially with the way baseball is going now and the draft and the minor leagues being, cut a little bit, there's going to be less opportunity. And I think at any level, whether it's high school, little league, all the way up through the college ranks and pro ranks, not to take any of this for granted. And I think this time and what's going on in the world right now kind of makes you really think about that. And I think seeing those older guys go about it with a sense of purpose and then that rubbing off on the younger guys, I think I think that taught me as much of a lesson in anything that I've taken into the coaching world now and as a profession for me. So really cool summer and something that I'll never forget.
Are you a proponent still of college of summer collegiate ball? Are you sending your guys out to play? What's the conversation you have with a lot of your guys being at Rhode Island College with a high level program as yourself?
Our goal is everyone's playing summer baseball, but I don't like to get caught up in overplacing a kid in terms of what he's ready for. I think it's most important for our guys to go somewhere where they're what's best for them, and for some guys where they're at in their career, some guys it's the NECBL, some guys, Mike Webb last summer in the Cape Cod League. Some guys we probably on any given year we have 6 to 8 guys that I truly believe can play in those type of leagues. But college summer baseball leagues, that is the first thing on our mind. Come in the fall, trying to get guys placed. But we also know we're realistic with who we are, and that we know we have to have good seasons here at Rick to then get picked up by those guys. And typically, I think we get our guys in the best leagues or best situations a little later, right? Yeah. Because, something opens up, you have a great year. And I think you saw this summer with some of the talent that we do have. We have guys that deserve to be in those leagues. It's just a matter of us playing our cards right so that they get the most out of their experience, and that when they're there, they're valued, and hopefully they're there for the whole summer.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great way to look at it. And although every player wants to be in the Cape or the NECBL, it's extremely important that they don't try to make that jump before they're ready, and really need to understand that there's many leagues out there that will get them the reps, the exposure that they're looking for in the summer. I'm flashing some of those leagues on the screen right now. But to wrap things up, because I know you have practice here in a bit, I always like to end these segments by asking our alumni to offer some advice to those that want to continue their careers in baseball after the playing portion is complete.
I talk to recruits about this a lot because there's a lot of high school kids, and I want this to be the goal of every kid I'm recruiting, is to get the most out of their baseball career and take it as far as they can, And we had a guy drafted out of here in 2015, Matt Foley, who's a former Newport Gull, and then Mike Webb, who was getting some sniffs, and there will be guys down the road. But also when I was at Wheaton as a player and a coach, we would always tell recruits, hey, Kristen Orphy, an alum at Wheaton, he played 10 years in the big leagues, $1 million contracts, major league pension, everything we could all dream of, had a great major league career. But at the end of the day, he's 40 years old, and there's a lot of life in front of you. And so I think people who love the game, who are passionate about it, and at some day the game is going to end, but there's so many different avenues to stay around the game and stay involved in the game. And for me, it was, after my playing career was over at Wheaton, I hopped on the staff with the Gulls and realized that this is something I'm really passionate about. And, nothing's going to come easy like any industry, but I think if you put your heart to something where you really like what you do, I think you're not gonna wake up in the morning dreading going to work. And I think if you can put your mind down to it, I think with the money in sports, obviously right now is a tough time for everyone, but if you have a good head on your shoulders, you're passionate about something, and you're willing to put in the work, there are a ton of things in this sports industry that you can get involved with. And for me, I'm just fortunate that, I think it starts with the Gulls when I was a little kid, going to games, being a bat boy, then a host family, then a player, then an assistant coach, and then going to my alma mater at Wheaton and learning from one of the best guys in the business. I've been fortunate, probably more fortunate than some people in the industry. And I'm thankful for that. And I'm thankful for what the Newport Gulls gave to me and kind of the love of baseball that they gave to me. And I think anyone at any level, if you're not good enough to play professional baseball and you love being around the game, there are plenty of ways to make it a career, one way or the other, whether it's scouting, agents, coaching, anything like that. So, it's been a great experience. I'm excited for the future. And like I said, I think the foundation that I was given from the Gulls and my time at Wheaton, I'm very fortunate to have that. And couldn't be more thankful for that.
Hey, we appreciate you and your contributions here, and just in your first season here at Rhode Island College, doing some really, really big things. 26 and 16. I mean, that's an unbelievable record as your first season as a head coach. As you kind of said, as one of the younger guys in the region in a very competitive conference. So, and got off to an amazing start in 2020. So really excited to see how your career, your program develops now that it is your own up at Rhode Island College. Best of
Yeah.
luck to you. Thanks for taking some time for us, and maybe we'll get you on here in the future. But again, Frank Holbrook, thank you so much, and you have a great rest of your day. Stay safe out there.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Have a good one.
All right, you too.